I want to read you something. This is an official United States military press release, issued July 8, 1947. The many rumors regarding the flying disc became a reality yesterday when the intelligence office of the 509th Bomb Group of the 8th Air Force, Roswell Army Airfield, was fortunate enough to gain possession of a disc. The United States military, official statement, signed off, distributed to the press. Flying disc. 24 hours later, they took it back, said it was a weather balloon. That press release still exists. I have it, and it is document number 3 in today's video. Today we are going through 3 declassified government documents. Real files, real agencies, real signatures, documents that the United States government either buried, denied, or spent decades trying to make you forget about. By the time we get to document number 2, you are going to understand why. Before we get into this, I need to establish something important. This video is not about theory. It is not about speculation. Everything you are about to hear comes directly from documents that are sitting in government archives right now. Fully declassified, publicly accessible. Anyone with an internet connection can pull them up. I'm going to tell you exactly where each document lives so you can verify everything yourself after this video. Here is why this matters right now in 2025. In January 2025, President Trump signed an executive order declassifying thousands of pages of JFK assassination records. Buried inside those files were references to UFO programs and intelligence operations that had never been publicly acknowledged. In 2023, a decorated U.S. military intelligence officer named David Grush testified under oath before Congress that the United States government has recovered craft and materials of non-human origin. Under oath, before Congress, on camera, with his name attached. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is congressional testimony. So the question is no longer whether the government has been hiding something. The question is, how long have they been hiding it? And what exactly did they find? These 3 documents answer both of those questions. Let's start 22 years before Roswell even became a household name. U.S. Air Force 1947 to 1969. Document number 1. Project Blue Book. Here are the facts before we get into what they mean. In 1947, the United States Air Force launched an official investigation into UFO sightings across America. They called it Project Blue Book. It ran for 22 years. From 1947 to 1969, and in those 22 years they investigated 12,618 reported sightings. 12,618. From pilots, from military personnel, from scientists, from police officers, from ordinary American citizens in every state in the country. Now here is what the Air Force told the American public when they shut Project Blue Book down in December 1969. Quote, "No UFO reported, investigated and evaluated by the Air Force has ever given any indication of threat to our national security. There has been no evidence submitted to or discovered by the Air Force that sightings categorized as unidentified represent technological developments or principles beyond the range of present-day scientific knowledge. Nothing to see here. Go home. Everything is fine." Here is what they did not tell you. Of those 12,618 cases they investigated, 701 were officially classified as unidentified. Unidentified, meaning the United States Air Force investigated them fully, with every resource available to them, and still could not explain what was seen. 701 cases that they closed the entire program over. Think about what that means. You are the most powerful military force on Earth. You have the best scientists, the best technology, the best intelligence apparatus in human history, and 701 times, you looked at something in the sky and wrote down, "We don't know what that is," and then you shut the whole program down and told everyone it was nothing. Why would you shut down a 22-year investigation into something you admit you cannot explain? Because here is what was happening behind closed doors while the Air Force was publicly saying everything was fine. The CIA, which was never supposed to be involved in domestic UFO investigation, had been secretly monitoring and analyzing Project Blue Book's findings the entire time. And when internal pressure started building to release that information publicly, a CIA deputy director wrote an internal memo. I want you to listen to what he wrote. They were, and I quote directly, "most anxious that further publicity not be given to the information that the CIA had been involved in UFO analysis. The CIA, most anxious that the public not find out that they were involved. Not anxious because it was embarrassing. Not anxious because it was classified for routine national security reasons. Anxious because if the American public found out that the Central Intelligence Agency had been secretly analyzing UFO reports alongside the Air Force for 22 years, people were going to start asking very uncomfortable questions about what they found. Project Blue Book is sitting in the National Archives right now. Every page, fully declassified. You can drive to Washington, D.C. and read it yourself, or pull it up online tonight. 701 cases, officially unidentified, by the United States Air Force. And the CIA desperately did not want you to know they had been watching the whole time. But Project Blue Book, as explosive as it is not even the most disturbing document in today's video. Because while the Air Force was running a 22-year public investigation, there was allegedly another group operating in total secrecy, reporting directly to the President of the United States, with a mandate so classified that its very existence was denied for decades. Document number 2, the MJ-12 Majestic 12 Files. Alleged U.S. Presidential Authorization 1947. September 24, 1947. 2 months after Roswell. 6 weeks after the U.S. Air Force launched Project Blue Book. According to a document that surfaced in 1984, President Harry S. Truman signed a classified memorandum authorizing the creation of a secret group. 12 men, hand-selected, the most senior military officers, intelligence directors, and scientists in the United States government. Their mission to handle everything related to the Roswell crash. The debris, the analysis, and according to the documents, the bodies. They were called Majestic 12, MJ-12. Now before I go any further, I need to do something that most channels covering this topic don't do. I'm going to tell you both sides of this story, completely honestly, because that is the only way you can form a real opinion about what these documents mean. The FBI investigated the MJ-12 documents. Their conclusion, and I'm quoting directly from their official file, was that the documents were, quote, completely bogus. Most mainstream UFO researchers, people who have spent their entire careers investigating this field, also believe the MJ-12 documents are an elaborate hoax, created by someone inside the intelligence community to muddy the waters around real UFO evidence. That is the official position. That is the skeptical position. And it is a legitimate position. Now here is where it gets complicated. The document at the center of the MJ-12 files is called the Eisenhower Briefing Document. It was supposedly prepared to brief President-elect Dwight Eisenhower on the Roswell situation before he took office in 1953. And what it describes is this. On the evening of July 7, 1947, a secret operation was begun to assure recovery of the wreckage of this craft. During the course of this operation, aerial reconnaissance discovered that 4 small human-like beings had apparently ejected from the craft at some point. Before it exploded, all 4 were dead and badly decomposed. 4 beings ejected from the craft, dead on impact. The document goes on to claim that the debris and the bodies were transported to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio for analysis. And that Majestic 12, these 12 men reporting directly to the president, were responsible for everything that happened next. Now, the FBI says fake. Most researchers say fake. But here is what happened in January 2025 that nobody is talking about enough. President Trump signed an executive order declassifying thousands of pages of previously sealed JFK assassination records. And buried inside those files, which were never supposed to be about UFOs at all, were references to intelligence programs and operations that align directly with what the MJ-12 documents describe. And an FBI whistleblower, named Scotty Newton Myler, came forward with a claim that the majority of the MJ-12 documents are authentic, and that the CIA's own Office of Global Access ran a deliberate disinformation campaign specifically designed to discredit them. Think about the logic of that for a second. If the documents were fake, completely fabricated with no connection to reality, why would the CIA need to run a disinformation campaign to discredit them? You don't spend intelligence resources discrediting something that has no truth to it. You discredit things that are getting too close to the truth. The FBI says the MJ-12 documents are completely bogus. A CIA whistleblower says they are authentic and that the CIA manufactured the very evidence used to call them fake. Somebody is lying. And I want you to hold that thought, because document number 3, the one I read to you at the very beginning of this video, is going to make that question a lot harder to answer. Document number 3, the Roswell Press Release. U.S. Military, July 8, 1947. We are going back to July 8, 1947, the same summer that Project Blue Book launched, 2 months before Majestic 12 was allegedly authorized. And on this specific day, July 8, the public information officer at Roswell Army Airfield in New Mexico issued a press release. Not a rumor, not a leak, not an anonymous tip, an official, United States military press release. I want to read the key line one more time, because I think it matters that you hear it clearly. The many rumors regarding the flying disc became a reality yesterday when the intelligence office of the 509th Bomb Group of the 8th Air Force, Roswell Army Airfield, was fortunate enough to gain possession of a disc. Possession of a disc. The United States military wrote those words, signed off on them, and released them to the Associated Press, which distributed them to newspapers across the country. For approximately 24 hours, that was the official story of the United States government. Then the phone calls started. Senior military commanders, intelligence officials, someone very high up the chain made a decision. And within 24 hours of that press release going out, the story changed completely. Suddenly, it wasn't a disc. It was a weather balloon from a classified program called Project Mogul, designed to monitor Soviet nuclear tests. The officer who issued the original press release, Major Jesse Marcel, was photographed kneeling next to weather balloon debris, smiling for the cameras. Case closed. Except Major Jesse Marcel spent the rest of his life telling a different story. In interviews before his death, Marcel said the debris he actually recovered from the ranch was not weather balloon material. He described it as nothing he had ever seen in his military career. Lightweight metal that could not be dented or burned. Material with strange symbols on it. Nothing consistent with any balloon program. He said he was ordered to pose with the weather balloon debris for the photographs. That the real material had already been replaced and transported. Marcel was a decorated World War II intelligence officer. Not a conspiracy theorist. A military man who spent his final years saying, "What I held in my hands was not from this earth." Here is what we know as absolute documented fact. The United States military issued an official press release on July 8, 1947 stating they had recovered a flying disc. 24 hours later, they retracted it. The officer who issued the original statement spent the rest of his life saying the retraction was a cover. And the classified program they used to explain it away, Project Mogul, was so secret that its existence wasn't publicly acknowledged until 1994. 47 years after the incident. Very slow now. So the explanation for the most famous UFO incident in American history is a classified program that the government didn't admit existed for nearly half a century. That is the official explanation, and you can decide for yourself whether that satisfies you. 3 documents. Project Blue Book, a 22-year Air Force investigation that found 701 cases it could not explain. That the CIA secretly monitored the entire time, and that was quietly shut down with a statement saying everything was fine. The MJ-12 files documents describing a presidential secret group formed to handle alien bodies and recovered craft. Called completely fake by the FBI. Called completely authentic by a CIA whistleblower who says the CIA manufactured the very evidence used to discredit them. And the Roswell Press Release, an official United States military statement announcing they recovered a flying disc, retracted within 24 hours, by an officer who spent the rest of his life saying the retraction was a lie. I want to say something directly to you. I do not know what crashed in Roswell in 1947. I do not know what the 701 unidentified cases in Project Blue Book actually were. I do not know whether Majestic 12 was real or the most elaborate intelligence hoax in American history. What I do know is this. The United States government ran a secret 22-year UFO investigation. The CIA monitored it and desperately did not want the public to know. An official military press release announced recovery of a disc and was retracted within a day. And in 2023, 76 years after Roswell, a military intelligence officer testified under oath before the United States Congress that non-human craft have been recovered by this government. 76 years. That is how long it took to go from a weather balloon to congressional testimony. The documents have always been there. The question was never whether the truth existed. The question was always, when were we finally going to be allowed to read it?
Every document in this video is real and publicly accessible. Links are in the description. Go read them yourself. Form your own conclusion. If this video made you think, share it. The most powerful thing you can do is put this in front of someone who has never asked these questions before. Next video, the 5 ancient artifacts sitting in museums right now that archaeologists cannot explain, and what they have in common with everything you just watched. Subscribe so you don't miss it.